Kunle looked at the POS screen again. The red meter reached 100%. The machine vibrated violently. Debt overdue. The room temperature dropped instantly. The lights flickered. Kunle's chest tightened as he remembered the old man's words. From people who will come and collect. The POS keypad blinked, waiting. Kunle's mind raced. If he entered a name, someone else would carry the loss. If he didn't, maybe the debt would fall back on him. He thought of his sister smiling, his mother's tired voice, his own reflection in the cracked mirror. Slowly, Kunle reached. It started on a Monday, the kind of Monday that already felt like punishment before noon. Kunle sat inside his small POS kiosk at the edge of a busy junction in Aja, Lagos, fanning himself with a piece of carton because the heat was wicked and the small rechargeable fan had died since morning. The kiosk was a wooden box painted green and white with bold writing on the front. POS, transfer, cash withdrawal, airtime. From outside, it looked like a normal hustle, but inside, it was stress wearing a uniform. Kunle's shirt clung to his back with sweat. His eyes were red from staring at screens and counting money that wasn't his. His right thumb felt numb from pressing the POS keypad all day, every day. People thought POS agents were making mad profit. They didn't see the truth. The truth was that Kunle was always one bad transaction away from disgrace, one network failure away from insult, one wrong transfer away from fighting, and one robbery away from death. That morning alone, 3 customers had already shouted at him like he stole their destiny. "Why my money never enter? Your machine dey chop money? Are you sure you no be Yahoo boy?" Kunle swallowed every insult because swallowing was part of the business. But inside, something bitter was growing. By 4:17 p.m., the bitterness turned into a hard knot in his chest. A woman in a tight Ankara wrapper stormed up to his kiosk, eyes blazing. "I withdraw 20K now," she said, slamming her phone on the counter. "Debit alert don't enter, but you no give me money. You think say I be mumu?" Kunle's heart jumped. "Madam, calm down. Network fit delay. Make I check." He checked the POS log. The transaction said, approved. His stomach sank because he knew he didn't give her any cash. He hadn't even had up to 20K loose notes left at that moment. "That one no be my fault, oh," he said quickly. "Maybe in her previous POS." "Previous what?" she snapped. "See your face, thief." People began to gather, like they always did when someone smelled drama. Kunle felt sweat trickle down his temple. "Madam, I beg, let's check the time properly. Maybe you draw him earlier." She pushed him. Not hard, but enough to send a message. If Kunle didn't produce that 20K immediately, he would be dragged, beaten, disgraced in public like a thief. He opened his cash box with shaking hands. Only 8,500 naira stared back at him. His throat went dry. "Bring my money," the woman shouted again. Kunle's mind raced. He thought of calling his friend to borrow. No time. He thought of asking the woman to wait. She wouldn't. He thought of running. He couldn't. Then, as if the universe wanted to mock him, the power bank on his table blinked red and died completely, shutting off the small POS machine. Kunle's head spun. That was when he noticed the old man. The man had been standing across the road for some minutes, watching the whole scene quietly. He wore a faded kaftan and a cap pulled low over his eyes. His skin looked dry like paper left in the sun. He held a small nylon bag in his left hand. Kunle didn't know him. But the old man's gaze felt like it knew Kunle very well. The woman kept shouting. People kept gathering. Kunle was about to beg the crowd, full humiliation, when the old man crossed the road slowly and walked toward the kiosk. He didn't rush. He didn't look afraid. He stepped into the crowd like someone passing through smoke. Then he spoke. His voice low, but somehow clear enough to cut through the noise. "Give her the money." Kunle turned sharply. "Oga, I no get am." The old man reached into his nylon bag and brought out cash. New notes, neat. He counted 20,000 naira and placed it on Kunle's counter. "Pay her," he repeated. The crowd quieted slightly. The woman grabbed the money immediately, still frowning, as if she didn't want peace. "This boy better return my money if it reverse," she hissed, then walked away, still muttering curses. The crowd dispersed slowly, disappointed that nobody would be beaten today. Kunle stood frozen, staring at the cash. His chest rose and fell quickly. When he looked up to thank the man was still standing there, eyes fixed on him. "You are tired," the old man said. Kunle swallowed. "Yes, sir." "You are hungry." "Yes, sir." "You are tired of counting other people's money." Kunle's eyebrows pulled together. "How you know?" The old man's lips twitched. "Because your eyes are the eyes of someone who is ready to do anything." Kunle felt a chill crawl up his back, even in the heat. He glanced around. The junction noise returned, horns, shouting, sellers, but inside his kiosk, it suddenly felt like the sound couldn't enter properly. Like a small bubble had formed around them. "Oga, thank you, sir. I go pay you back tomorrow." The old man shook his head slowly. "No, you will not pay me back with money." Kunle's stomach tightened. "So how?" The old man leaned closer. Kunle smelled something strange on him, like damp earth, like old paper, like a riverbank after rain. "You want money," he whispered. "Not small one, real one." Kunle tried to laugh, but the sound died in his throat. "Oga, everybody want money." The old man nodded. "True, but not everybody is ready to pay the kind of price money demands." Kunle stared at him. He should have ended the conversation right there. He should have said "God forbid" and focused on his work. He should have called someone. He should have locked his kiosk. But desperation makes you do foolish things quietly. Kunle's rent was due in 2 weeks. His younger sister's school fees had been hanging over his head like a stone. His mother had been calling, voice tired, saying, "Kunle, things hard, anything you fit do." So Kunle didn't chase the old man away. He asked the question that sealed his fate. "Oga, what kind price?" The old man smiled, and the smile did not reach his eyes. "I will come back after closing," he said, "if you are brave." Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd as if he had never been there. Kunle stood in silence for a long moment. He tried to shake it off. He told himself it was just an old man trying to scam him with juju talk. But the 20K on his table wasn't a scam. It was real cash that saved him from public disgrace. And deep inside, Kunle felt something else. A small spark. Not hope. Something darker. Curiosity. That night, Kunle closed his kiosk late. He counted his day's profit. It was small, as usual. He packed his cash into a nylon bag and began walking toward his room. He lived in a one-room apartment behind a row of shops, the kind of place where the wall paint peeled like dry skin. The corridor always smelled of kerosene, sweat, and fried fish. He entered his room, dropped his bag, and sat on the bed. His body ached. His mind didn't rest. He kept thinking of the old man's words, "You will not pay me back with money." At exactly 11:11 p.m., there was a knock on his door. Kunle froze. Nobody visited him at that time. He stood slowly, heart beating fast, and walked to the door. Another knock, soft, patient. He didn't ask, "Who is it?" Something inside him already knew. He opened the door. The old man stood there. Same faded kaftan, same dry skin, same eyes that looked like they had seen too many secrets. Kunle's throat went dry. "Oga." The old man stepped inside without waiting for invitation. Kunle noticed he carried no bag this time. He only held Kunle's POS machine. Kunle's POS machine, the same one that had died earlier at the junction. Kunle's mouth opened in shock. "How you get my machine?" The old man placed it gently on Kunle's small table, like he was placing a sleeping baby. "I told you I would come back," he said. Kunle's skin crawled. "Oga, this thing not a funny."
The old man looked at him calmly. "Sit down." Kunle sat down without knowing why. The old man leaned forward. "You want a POS that never says declined again?" he asked softly. Kunle's breath caught. "You want a POS that prints success even when the bank says no?" Kunle stared at him, heart hammering. "You want to withdraw money that did not exist 5 minutes ago?" Kunle's lips trembled. This was madness. This was crime. This was temptation. His mouth moved before his brain could stop it. "Yes." The old man nodded slowly, as if he had expected nothing else. "Good," he said. "Then listen carefully. This is not free money. It is borrowed money." Kunle swallowed. "Borrowed from who?" The old man's eyes darkened slightly. "From people who will come and collect." He opened his palm slowly. Inside was a small black object. It looked like a SIM card, but it wasn't like any SIM Kunle had seen. It was darker, thicker, and it had faint markings on it like scratched symbols. "This," the old man said, "will replace the SIM inside your POS. When you put it, transactions will approve." Kunle stared, fear and greed fighting inside him. "And the price?" Kunle asked, voice barely above a whisper. The old man's smile returned. "This week," he said, "you will approve more than you ever approved. You will taste money like water." Kunle's heart beat faster. "Then, on the 7th day," the old man continued, voice dropping lower, "your POS will ask for its first charge." Kunle's throat tightened. "Charge?" The old man nodded. "A small thing." He leaned closer. Kunle could smell damp earth again. "A name," the old man whispered. "The first person you will use to test it." Kunle's blood ran cold. The old man placed the strange black SIM on the table. Then he stood up. "If you do not want it, throw it away. Nothing will happen." He paused at the door and turned back. "But if you want it, put it in tonight. And remember," his eyes locked on Kunle's, "the money will come." A thin smile. "And so will the debt." Then he walked out, closing the door softly behind him. Kunle sat alone in the room, staring at the black SIM card like it was a living thing. Outside, Lagos noise drifted faintly through the window. Inside, Kunle's heart beat like a drum in a dark shrine. He reached slowly toward the SIM card, and the room lights flickered once. Kunle did not sleep that night. The small black SIM card sat on his table like a silent challenge. Every few minutes he would look at it, look away, then look back again, as if it might move when he wasn't watching. Outside, the corridor was quiet. Only the hum of distant generators and the barking of a stray dog broke the silence. He told himself to ignore it. He told himself to throw it away. But the memory of that woman shouting at him in public, the fear of disgrace, the weight of unpaid bills, those thoughts pressed harder than fear. By 1:32 a.m., Kunle picked up the POS machine. His fingers trembled as he opened the back cover. "This one a madness," he muttered under his breath. He removed his regular SIM slowly. For a moment, he paused. If he stopped now, nothing would change. He could still return to normal life. Hard, but safe. Kunle swallowed. Then he slid the black SIM card into the slot. The POS screen flickered immediately. Not like a normal reboot. The light glowed darker, deeper, like the machine was breathing for the first time. A faint vibration passed through the table. Kunle's chest tightened. The screen came on. No bank logo, no startup sound, just one line of text. "Ready." Kunle stared at it. "That's all," he whispered. He waited for something dramatic to happen. Nothing did. The machine looked ordinary again. He exhaled slowly, almost laughing at himself. Maybe the old man just dey play mind game. But as he turned the machine off and lay down, a thought lingered. What if it works? Morning came quickly.
The Aja junction woke up loud as usual, horns blaring, hawkers shouting, keke engines rattling like angry insects. Kunle opened his kiosk earlier than normal, heart racing with nervous energy. He told himself he would not use the strange sim. He would just watch, just observe. The first customer arrived at 8:12 a.m., a young man in a faded Arsenal jersey. "Bros, I want withdraw 5K, he said casually. Kunle hesitated. He stared at the POS machine. His normal cash balance was low. If the transaction delayed, the customer would insult him. If it declined, another scene might happen. His thumb hovered over the keypad. "Just try once," a voice whispered in his mind. Kunle entered the amount. The customer inserted his card. The machine processed. No network delay, no spinning icon. Instantly, the screen flashed green. Approved. Kunle blinked. "That fast," he murmured. He handed over the cash slowly, eyes still fixed on the screen. The young man smiled. "Sharp guy, oh." He walked away. Kunle checked his banking app. No alert. His balance hadn't changed. He frowned. Maybe the bank was slow. Maybe the alert would come later. The second customer came 15 minutes later. "Transfer 15K to this account," a woman said. Small. Kunle swallowed hard. He entered the details, pressed confirm. The machine beeped softly. Successful. The woman checked her phone. "It don't enter," she said happily, walking away. Kunle's heart began to pound. He opened his banking app again. Still no debit. No worry deduction. The money had moved, but not from him. Kunle leaned back slowly in his chair. Fear and excitement twisted together inside him. "Maybe network just delay," he whispered, though he didn't believe it. More customers came. Withdrawals, transfers, airtime, every transaction approved instantly. No delay, no failure. By noon, Kunle had completed more transactions than he usually did in 3 days. And still, no debit alerts. His cash box filled quickly, new notes stacked higher than he had ever seen. The junction noise faded into the background as Kunle stared at the growing pile of money. He felt powerful, untouchable. Customers began praising him. "This your POS sharp die. I go dey come here every time. Other agents they waste time, but you correct." Kunle smiled weakly, pretending everything was normal. Inside, his heart beat like a drum. Around 3 p.m., something changed. A man approached the kiosk slowly. Tall, thin, wearing dark sunglasses even though the sun was already soft. He didn't speak immediately. He just watched Kunle process another transaction. Kunle felt uncomfortable under his gaze. "Oga, wetin you wan do?" Kunle asked. The man removed his glasses slowly. His eyes looked tired, heavy. "Withdraw 30K, he said. Kunle nodded automatically and entered the amount. The machine processed instantly. Approved. The man collected the cash, but instead of leaving, he leaned closer. "You just start using them today," he said quietly. Kunle's stomach tightened. "Using waiting." The man's lips curved slightly. "The extra money." Kunle forced a laugh. "Oga, I no understand you." The man nodded slowly, as if he expected that answer. "Be careful," he said softly. "Some money no dey stay quiet." Then he turned and walked away into the crowd. Kunle's hands began to sweat. He looked down at the POS machine. The screen blinked once. A new line of text appeared at the bottom, faint and small. Day 1 complete. Kunle's breath caught. He pressed buttons quickly, trying to clear the message. It disappeared. The machine returned to normal. But Kunle could not shake the feeling that something had started counting. As evening approached, Kunle closed his kiosk earlier than usual. He counted the day's earnings twice, 3 times. The amount felt unreal. More than he had made in months. His chest filled with a strange pride. Maybe the old man was right. Maybe this was his breakthrough. But as he packed his things, a cold breeze brushed past his face. The kind of cold that didn't belong to Lagos heat. Kunle looked around. The junction still buzzed with life. Nothing looked wrong.
Yet the back of his neck prickled like someone stood behind him. He turned sharply. No one. Only shadows stretching long across the road as the sun dipped low. Kunle grabbed his POS machine and began walking quickly home. Each step felt heavier than usual. When he reached his room, he locked the door and sat on the bed. The room felt quiet. Too quiet. He placed the POS machine on the table. The screen turned on by itself. Kunle froze. Words appeared slowly, letter by letter. Day 1 successful. Balance growing. Prepare for first charge. Kunle's mouth went dry. The old man's voice echoed in his memory. On the 7th day, your POS will ask for its first charge. Kunle stared at the glowing screen, his chest rising and falling quickly. He had tasted the money. Now the machine had started speaking back. And somewhere deep inside him, beneath the excitement and fear, he knew one thing clearly. This was no longer business. It was a debt already counting down.
Kunle did not open his kiosk the next morning with the same excitement. The money was still there, stacked neatly in a rubber-banded pile beside his bed. But it no longer felt like victory. It felt like something watching him. He washed his face slowly at the small basin in his room, staring at his reflection in the cracked mirror on the wall. His eyes looked different, sharper, restless, like someone who had crossed a line he couldn't uncross. The POS machine sat on the table, silent, waiting. Kunle swallowed. "Not just business," he whispered to himself. "Nothing will happen." He carried the machine to the kiosk anyway. By 9 a.m., customers were already forming a small line. Word had spread. Kunle's POS was now the fastest in the area. Transactions flew. 10K, 20K, 50K. The screen flashed green again and again. Approved, successful. People praised him. Some even laughed, saying, "Guy, you don't blow." Kunle smiled weakly, but the joy from yesterday was gone. Because every few minutes, the bottom of the screen blinked with a small red bar. Debt meter, 15%. Kunle's fingers went cold. He pressed random buttons, trying to remove it. Nothing worked. By midday, the meter climbed. Debt meter, 27%. The number rose after every transaction. Kunle felt like someone had tied a rope around his chest. At exactly 2:07 p.m., the old man returned. He didn't greet, he didn't smile, he just stood quietly beside the kiosk, watching the customers. Kunle's throat tightened. "Oga?" The old man nodded slowly. "You are enjoying it." Kunle hesitated. Money they come, but this thing for screen. The old man leaned closer. "The charge is coming." Kunle's stomach turned. "What exactly you mean by nah?" The old man didn't answer immediately. He watched the woman withdraw money, watched Kunle hand over cash that technically did not belong to him. Then he spoke softly. "The first name you enter will balance the first debt." Kunle's hands began to shake. "Balance? How?" The old man's eyes darkened. "The person will carry the loss instead of you." Kunle froze. "You mean the account go empty?" The old man tilted his head slightly. "Money always leaves somewhere before it enters somewhere else." Kunle felt sweat crawl down his back. "No, that one a fraud," he whispered. The old man chuckled quietly. "You think this thing was clean?" Before Kunle could respond, a familiar voice called his name. "Kunle?" He looked up. His younger sister, Shade, stood at the edge of the kiosk, smiling brightly. She held a small envelope in her hand. "I come thank you," she said happily. "Mama say you sent money for my school fees yesterday. You too try." Kunle's heart dropped into his stomach. He hadn't sent any money. At least, not directly. The old man watched silently from the side. Shade continued talking, unaware of the tension. "My account alert just enter. Full payment. I don't know how you do am, but God go bless you." Kunle's mouth went dry. He glanced at the POS screen. The red bar jumped suddenly. Debt meter, 49%. His chest tightened. The old man leaned closer and whispered, "You see, the machine already picks people close to you." Kunle felt a wave of nausea. He grabbed Shade's hand. "You check your balance well." She laughed. "Why you dey ask like that? Everything fine." Kunle forced a smile and told her to go home carefully. As she left, he turned sharply toward the old man. "I no want use anybody close to me," he hissed. The old man shrugged lightly. Then choose someone else before the meter reaches full. Kunle stared at the screen. The numbers climbed slowly with every transaction. 55%, 61%, 70%. The air around him felt heavy, like time itself had slowed. Customers kept coming. Each green approved felt like a hammer hitting his chest. By evening, the meter flashed red. Debt meter 89%. Kunle closed the kiosk early, ignoring angry customers. He rushed back to his room, heart pounding. The POS machine turned on by itself the moment he placed it on the table. A black screen appeared. One blinking line. Enter first name to balance debt. Kunle stared at the keypad. His hands trembled. He thought of strangers who had insulted him. He thought of random names, but every option felt like crossing into something dark. His phone buzzed. A call from his mother. He answered slowly. "My son," her tired voice said softly. "Thank you for the money you sent Sade. God go bless you." Kunle felt tears gather in his eyes. He realized something then. The money had already started touching his family. He had never been in control. The machine chose. The debt chose. Kunle looked at the POS screen again. The red meter reached 100%. The machine vibrated violently. Debt overdue. The room temperature dropped instantly. The lights flickered. Kunle's chest tightened as he remembered the old man's words. From people who will come and collect. The POS keypad blinked, waiting. Kunle's mind raced. If he entered a name, someone else would carry the loss. If he didn't, maybe the debt would fall back on him. He thought of his sister smiling, his mother's tired voice, his own reflection in the cracked mirror. Slowly, Kunle reached forward. Instead of typing someone else's name, he pressed one key, then another. Kunle. His own name. The machine froze. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen flashed white. A loud beep filled the room. The red meter disappeared completely. Debt accepted. Kunle gasped as a wave of exhaustion crashed into him. His phone buzzed rapidly, alert after alert. His personal bank account draining. Every naira he had earned, both real and extra, vanished in seconds. His knees gave way and he dropped onto the bed. The POS machine went dark, silent, dead. The next morning, Kunle returned to the junction with his old SIM card reinserted. The machine worked normally again, slow, unpredictable, honest. Customers complained about delays. Someone insulted him again. Life returned to its usual struggle. But Kunle felt lighter. As the sun set that evening, he noticed the old man standing across the road once more. This time, the old man nodded slightly, almost respectfully, before turning and disappearing into the crowd. Kunle sat back inside his kiosk, watching people pass by. He had lost the easy money, but he had kept something else, his name. And in Lagos, he realized, that was sometimes the only thing a person truly owned.